I got the list from Googling all this other stuff, but it was verbatim on everybody else's. Website, so I just used it.
I have to caution against Googling building codes, okay?
No, I got your website for each of the different counties and cities, and this is the language they use.
Some of the language you use is from jurisdictions in completely other states. You have to be careful doing that. You need to do apples to apples and look at the county codes.
Well, like the first thing that I had a question about, prefabricated swimming pools less than 24 inches deep.
Let's use the
Well, that's what I'm using. The first 3, 4, 5, 6, they're okay, or 6 is the one I'm talking about first.
Let's go through one at a time.
All right.
which item are you on now?
Well, I'm going by what they had and what I was referring to, and I'm on number 6.
Okay, number
And
6.
it's number 6, and I don't know the answer because it's not real clear, but I have a feeling I do know the answer. It says prefabricated swimming pools that are less than 24 inches deep are exempt from getting a permit. So if the pool is 24 inches deep, does you need a permit?
Apparently.
If it's not less than 24, you need a permit.
If it's 24, you need a permit.
Yes.
Okay, so a 2-foot high pool, you've got to get a permit, and that means you got to put a fence, right?
Yes, there are barrier requirements.
Okay, do you know anybody that buys a baby pool and puts it in their yard? It's because they sell them by foot, you know, it's 18 inches or 2 foot. And then they you have to put a fence around your yard for the pool?
Barriers would be
Okay, well,
required. And if you recall, the county board has actually adopted stricter barrier requirements than what this code establishes because of the number of drownings that occurred.
well, do we have anything for the people along the river so that the entire riverfront, that somebody could walk in that river and drown? Do we have anything for that? Did they have to put a fence
The
up?
building codes do not address natural features of the land.
Well, I'm just saying, all right, I don't agree with that one, number 6. I don't think if you want to say over 24 inches, fine.
What do you propose then?
At 24 inches and less, because them are baby pools. They're saying if it's 24 inches, which when you go to the store and buy one of them baby pools, they're going to have 24 inches, they're going to have 2 feet.
So you want to exempt
24 inches and less. And frankly, you know, I find it absurd to even have to talk about them little baby pools, those swimming pools, because people, again, aren't going to get a permit for a 3-foot pool. But when you're talking about 2 foot, I mean, there's more water in the bathtub. You know, so I think that needs to be changed to at least, you know, a compromise down to say 24 and lower.
What does the committee think?
Or else you say that that you don't need a, and again, if you have children and you get a 12-foot pool and it's 3 feet deep, 12 foot and it's 3 foot deep, that needs a permit. Well, I bet if you go in people's yards, you'll find all kinds of violations because they didn't get it for 3 feet deep and 12 feet long. They think it's not needed. And I'm not saying ignorance isn't an okay for the law. But because the purpose, what you're saying is that somebody could fall in and drown.
So you want to add an inch to this
Yeah.
exemption?
Yeah. That, at least then when it's a real true baby pool, which is 2 feet deep, then it isn't a baby, a youth pool.
Can we make specific amendments to
My comments to the committee would be, if you find provisions that you do like to amend, to have County Board Member Balich work on that legislative language.
Well,
But the rest of them are, you know, that was just, you know, that was only one. Well, now you go to the next one, installation of doors and windows. And you said you need to have a permit to put a door and a window in.
I would like to clarify that statement. What I said is storm windows and storm doors are already exempt. Garage doors have been determined to be exempt.
Right.
Windows and exterior doors are not exempt.
Right, that's what it's, and that's because you're, to ensure life safety and ensuring reliable egress. But if you're replacing the things, you're just taking a shelf, the window out, and you're not making it bigger, smaller, or anything. You're just taking one window out, going to Lowe's or Home Depot or Menards and buying the exact same size, and shoving it back in the hole.
Again, the rationale provided is embodied in the codes. That rationale is to ensure life safety by ensuring reliable egress, to ensure structural changes to rough openings are done in a manner which prevents structural failure, to ensure manufacturer installation specifications are met, because failure to meet those specifications could result in the consumer's warranty being voided, to ensure compliance with the International Energy Conservation Code, which is adopted by the state of Illinois. We have not received any direction from the state's attorney's office or the attorney general's office to not enforce that state statute, to ensure safety glazing when required, and to ensure the contractors performing the work are registered, licensed, insured, and bonded.
So what my suggestion is that we exempt doors and windows. And as long as it's not a structural change, if you take your window out, go buy a brand new window, which is probably going to be much better than the one that's already there, and you replace it, what's the, okay, you're paying all these things. But at my house, I ain't replaced nothing because I can't afford it. I got to figure ways of making it look nice without replacing it. But people look at it and say, I'm going to just take the window out and put another window in. They're not changing the size or structure. And they're not making the egress littler or bigger. It's exactly the same thing as they had before. There's no difference. So why do you have to have a permit if it's exactly what was there, except it's new?
There were 5 other points provided in the rationale.
But I don't agree with those points.
My comment would be if the committee and board decide to exempt window replacements from permit requirements, you will also have to revise the contractor registration ordinance to ensure that we're no longer registering window contractors in Will County. Because if we're not issuing permits and we're not inspecting their work, there's no reason for us to register them and hold a bond for them.
You know what you just said is like apples and oranges. Because,
It's not, because we
no,
can't,
it is,
we
because
can't
you know what?
register.
If a person wants to hire a company, if they want to, they should be able to call and get somebody that's
Right.
approved by the company. But if they don't want to,
There's
that's
no
up to them.
reason, there's no reason for us to register them if we're not issuing permits or inspecting their work. We physically could not pull a bond from a contractor if we didn't issue a permit and inspect their work. So there would be no point in us holding a bond for the public.
Well, you know what, that's going to be a good discussion with the board.
Denise, do you have a comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, for the 6 items, thank you. For the 6 items that are not already exempted, I would suggest that until we have some different direction from the state's attorney, we hold them as they are on the order or on the ordinance, and then if Illinois code should change or the state's attorney gives us some different direction, then we should consider changing them. But until that time, we keep them as they are to protect ourselves as a county and to comply with state laws.
Thank you. Raymond?
Well,
Hold on, Steve.
I'm just reading stuff. I'm just upset, because it's making me aggravated.
Normally,
When we're talking about doing our job to create policy that reflects what's good for our people,
Okay.
and we're
Now,
going to
keep
say
it quiet.
life safety, everything,
Steve, let me talk to do my job, okay? Do you go out and inspect the window installations? Does someone from the county?
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
So in a situation where there's a window that's located, the bottom of the window is within less than 18 inches from the ground, you are personally inspecting to make sure that they have
We're
safety
verifying
glasses.
the safety glasses.
When there's a window that's right next to a door, the hinged portion of, not the hinged portion, the striker portion of the door, making sure that there's safety glass within so many inches.
Or if it's close to a bathtub or a
That's-
shower.
that's my
We are
point.
verifying that safety
So-
glass is installed.
So on some of the permits that the county actually does go out and inspect and insure, how are we going to make sure that the safety glass, like I said, I have no problem with eliminating some permits, I have no problem with that, because most people, you're right, they don't get permits. okay? But when there's a life safety issue involved, I have a real problem with it. And if you were to tell me that you don't go out and personally inspect that, then I would say, Mr. Balich is correct, we probably wouldn't need a permit. But if there are some certain situations where you are actually going out and visually seeing what's being put in to make sure that the safety glass rating and the life safety issues are being adhered to, I don't see how you eliminate that permit out of the window.
And there is only one permit issued by the county that we do not perform inspections on, and that is the manufacturing exempt or processing component permit. That is a type of permit that the county developed in conjunction with the Three River Manufacturers Association. And the purpose of that permit is it recognizes that we as a building department are not experts when it comes to actual industrial equipment, refining equipment, conveyor systems. So we issue permits on work in those industrial applications, but we do not inspect that work. That is the only permit issued by the county where an inspector isn't in the field following up, verifying the work is code compliant.
Yeah, so how come I got that letter saying that these people own homes that weren't inspected? And that's what I just gave you guys.
We discussed that issue 3 months ago, and I thought I was pretty thorough in explaining what was taking place. I'll take this opportunity to discuss it again. When I took over the building division in 2015, it was determined that there was 3,000 open building permits dating back to 2011.
So that means you're not inspecting them right away?
No, that means that homeowners and contractors failed to call in final inspections. So I implemented procedures to follow up with those 3,000 permits, to close them out, and I implemented procedures to prevent that from happening in the future.
Okay, and can I hear from Ray? I mean, you said about the windows. Okay, now what about doors? Nobody goes out and replaces, you gotta get 3 hinges and put a new door on. What about doors? What's the safety element with taking the door off and putting the same size door back up? I mean, because you're saying none of them were any good, and I'm not picking on you, but...
No, I'm not saying that any of them aren't good. I'm just saying we have to be very careful when we're looking at these, because there are certain life safety issues. If a child sits in a window seat that sometimes are 10, 12 inches, it falls backwards, it goes through the glass. Like a safety glass will break into 1,000 little pieces and the baby won't be cut.
What about
Coat
doors?
falls through one that you replaced and didn't do that, the baby's going to be severed in half.
Okay, we might have an issue with windows then, but what about doors?
Well, with doors, the only thing I would worry about a door is if someone were to replace a door, and actually, if you had a 3068 door, and then you replaced it with one with a side light on the side or on one side, if you did that, the header would not go across the entire top of the door. That could be a major issue with the load-bearing portion of the house. So if you're going to replace a 3068 door with a 3068 door, that's one thing. But if you're going to replace a 3068 door with a 5068 door, now you got a problem because the cripplers and the headers just will not support the
So what happens if you didn't even have a door? Because if your door was no good, what would happen to the house? Would it fall down because you didn't have a door?
Code would require you to have a functioning.
Well, I'm just, when you go to Arizona, in Arizona, a lot of the homes there, when you go out in the desert there, they took the doors off the house and they took the windows out of the house too. And they didn't fall down, the house is still standing. So, I mean, I'm just trying to, people don't get a permit for a door, okay? So, I guess we're gonna end up with a lot of arguments going on here. So we go to the next one.
Before we do that, we got somebody from the audience that wanted to make a comment. Dave, did you want to make a comment?
I'm not sure I do.
Well, you don't have to.
I think you guys have addressed some of the things that we came to ask you about, so I think we're good right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
He's from the realtor. Go ahead, Steve.
So, doors and windows, we got a lot of discussion. Okay, roofs. Replacing a roof, because it leaks, you have to get a permit. Well, people, again, if they have a leak in the roof, they go fix it right away, and they don't get a permit. So now, when I went through a lot of these other ordinances from like City of Chicago and Lockport, they don't require you to get a permit for fixing your roof if you have a leak in it. But they don't allow you to put a whole new roof on. And so I just went back to the idea that in those so-called things that I Googled, it said less than 25% of the roof.
If you were to pull roofing permits we've issued this year, you may find one or two that could be classified as fixing. They're usually a tear-off and re-roof, almost all the time. And we're actually fairly lenient. When you look at jurisdictions that issue roofing permits, many of them do multiple inspections during the roof replacement process. We do not. We do one final inspection to check specific items. But, you know, we're not issuing a permit for someone to go on their roof and dab some roofing sealant in a leak.
If it solves the problem, maybe that's all it needs.
Or if a shingle tap blew off, we don't have someone come in and apply for a permit so they can stick that one shingle tap back up on the roof. Again, we're a very small and busy department. We recognize that we have to allocate our resources appropriately. And allocating our resources to someone who's putting one shingle tap back up on their roof would not be responsible.
What if they put up 15 singles?
Then you would need a permit.
Okay, so we'll be talking about that one too then. Siding, you said that you changed your mind on that, I think.
No, I didn't. There is no explicit exemption for any siding work. A permit is required for siding, but I'm noting that if someone called and said, hey, I lost a piece of siding in a windstorm, do I need a building permit? I would not have him come into our office and apply for a building permit to install one piece of siding.
What about,
something that has to be
four
recognized.
pieces?
Something that has to be recognized is the building codes that the county have adopted have very prescriptive requirements when it comes to how to construct a house, how to install various components. At the same time, it merely establishes a framework that allows the building official to use their discretion and determine what things warrant permit application and what things don't. And maybe to you, County Board Member Balich, the word discretion on a staff level might be considered a bad word, right? But that's how the code is written, and it establishes that framework for us to operate with it.
Well, you know how building
It's
codes
not black and
originated? Just so you guys know, back in the 1800s, that's when they really got heavy with building codes in New York.
I believe the New York Times Act.
New York City.
Yeah.
And the whole idea behind it was the political different parties or groups or whatever, whoever was in power would go after their enemies with the code enforcement, and they'd register they'd measure the stairs, and the risers on the stairs weren't the right thing, and they'd tell them, rip it out. You know, it was a tool. And I'm not saying you guys are doing that, but that's how it originated.
I wouldn't agree with that statement. I would say it originated.
Well, they had them back in England and Rome, but I
because
think
of
you're all doing the
substandard
same
living
thing,
conditions.
because otherwise, the New York people weren't that smart, were they? They had to think of something, they didn't reinvent the wheel. They were just following along. But anyway, so when you say discretion, and you said one piece of siding, the actual law says you have to have it one piece of siding.
The actual law is silent,
But then why do you have to have it at all?
because it's not an explicit exemption, but there's framework established where I can deem something an ordinary repair. And again, if
Is
the
it
board,
ordinary
if the
repair
board
5
doesn't,
pieces of siding or one piece? That's
if the board doesn't like that discretion, if they believe that discretion has not been used fairly or equitably, then yes, you do have to amend your codes.
Well, I'm not saying that you're doing something wrong. You gotta remember that. I'm not saying any of you guys are doing anything wrong. I'm just arguing about the policy. Not about I'm not condemning your work. You're following the policies that we set. So I'm not yelling, or I'm not upset about what you're doing. I'm trying to correct what we're doing. We have to set better policy. Okay, so now you got the siding.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, you want to go through some things. Here's a few things. First of all, I don't know anybody who, I just don't know if they're educated or if they know that they have to. I don't know anyone that replaces a hot water heater and gets a permit. replaces a sink or a toilet and gets a permit. I don't know anyone that would fix some gutters, a leak in the roof, or some residential siding. So those are the ones I think that we could have discussion on. The bigger ticket items on the exterior of the house, the envelope of the house, like the windows and doors, I think we have to be very careful on because they do pose life safety issues. The one thing that the permit does do for those items, I think on the big ticket items, obviously when you're replacing an entire roof, I think there should be a permit because I think it protects the resident as much as it protects, you know, the fact that they're doing the work correctly. But there are some issues. I think we should take some of those items, go back into our respective caucuses, come back and talk about it next month. Because I think just arguing back and forth really isn't providing anything substance to this committee. There are some things, like I said, we should look at, but I think as a whole, I don't think anyone can point fingers saying we should or we shouldn't get a permit, but I think there are some things that we could afford to look at.
What are you referring to, Ray, the letter from the?
Yeah, the letter from the Realtors Association, like I understand that. Like I recently, we had a hot water tank go out and we ran the lows and we stuck one in. So now I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I'm in violation of our own ordinance.
Well,
I'm in the
remember
village,
that
so-
falls under the plumbing code.
Yeah.
In my opinion, you can ask the state attorney's office. You can't just write an amendment to the state plumbing code. You would have to, as a body, go to the state, go before the Illinois Department of Public Health, and get that amendment adopted by the state.
Right, but what I'm saying more or less though is you have stepped up your education process to the residents, and that could in the last 2 years. And that may be the result of why you're getting so many increased permits and having a 17-year high. I think we need to continue to do that and educate the residents. Because me sitting here, I can just look, in the last year, I had a piece of fascia blow off my house, we put it back on. You know, I mean, I understand that I wouldn't need a permit, but some of the things on here, like fixing a leak in the roof or gutter replacement, a new sink, I replaced 2 toilets in the last year. You know, to me, there are a lot of things that
We clarified that on a residential application, we wouldn't have someone get a permit to replace a faucet or a toilet. If you're not changing the plumbing and you're merely setting the toilet down on a wax ring and bolting it down, there's nothing for us to look at.
right.
And we don't have people get permits for that.
But actually, when you said that you can't change the plumbing, so.
You can't.
If you break most of the time when you replace your toilet, don't you put new shut-off valves in?
They're usually quick and measured.
I mean, according to this, you can't do shut-off valves. And people that have a hose in their backyard can't put a shut-off valve on.
If you were to replace a hose bib, if you read the Illinois Plumbing Code and interpret it just based on what it states, if you replace a hose bib, that code would say that you're changing the piping, because usually the bib comes with the pipe attached to it at different intervals. And the code would say you need a permit to do that. I can't tell you we've ever issued a permit for that.
Well, nobody would ask for it.
But again, that's the state code. Go to the state with your concerns, I guess.
But, I think we really have to dedicate a meeting to this to go over, because this will go on and on and on. And then, to be more specific, I'll go through the thing and I'll put down a list and I'll give to everybody and you can talk. I'm not trying to fight with anybody about it. I'm just saying we have to make our policy make sense to the people that we represent. You know what I'm saying? You guys get it. You can't have a law that everybody says is stupid. And that's kind of what we got.
Okay, Steve, if you'll reduce your list to the ones that you disagree with staff.
And that'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, let's do that.
And keep it the life safety issues.
Can I say something? So I was just wondering, I know that we have some things that we may have adopted, and back, well, I don't remember what it was, I had a pool conversation as well, because having a permit for a 24-inch pool, something you threw up in your yard and you took down was something that didn't make sense to me. But some of the things that we have in place, correct me if I'm wrong, help the insurance costs for our county. So that's something that, not today, if we could have that conversation when we go into this to say, so while you haven't issued a permit for, what'd you say, for a toilet or whatever,
Shut up, Bill.
shut-off valve. We have it in place for, a purpose to make sure that we're covered for insurance purposes. That's what I want.
I think that's a good point. There are insurance implications with all of this, and we can work on that.
All right, thank you.
Okay, nothing else on this issue, is there any public comment? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second.